Let's talk about CERN. You know, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, right on the border of France and Switzerland. It's home to the Large Hadron Collider, one of the most incredible scientific instruments humanity has ever built. But it's also become the main character in this massive global conspiracy theory, a place where people believe science has taken a seriously dark turn.
Okay, so this slide right here, it absolutely nails the problem. On one side, you've got this pure scientific goal, figuring out what our universe is made of. And on the other, you have this deep, primal fear that they're about to, rip open a portal to another dimension and unleash something terrible. So how in the world did we get here?
So in this explainer, we're going to dig in and try to understand how this amazing place became a mythological boogeyman. We'll look at the paranoia, decode the so-called evidence, pull apart those viral videos, and then really separate the actual physics from the wild fiction. Finally, we'll get into why these myths are just so compelling. Right, so let's start with this paradox. CERN is all about logic, precision, and rational thought. So how did it end up becoming this magnet for some of the most irrational fears imaginable? This is really the central question we're trying to answer. We're not just going to laugh these theories off. No, we're going to take them apart, piece by piece, to really get a grip on what makes them so powerful and, for a lot of people, so believable.
Okay, so where does all this paranoia even start? Well, the folks who believe something sinister is going on, they point to what they see as cold, hard evidence. And it really kicks off with two major symbols that are supposedly hiding in plain sight.
You've probably seen this one online. It's a huge talking point. Right there outside CERN headquarters is this big statue of the Hindu god Shiva. And for the critics, this is Exhibit A. Why would a science lab have a statue of the god of destruction? It has to mean something, right? And this is where the story splits into two totally different paths. You can see it right here. For CERN and the physicists, that statue is a beautiful metaphor for cosmic creation. But for the conspiracy theorists, it's a terrifying symbol of chaos and, well, destruction. Same object, two completely opposite meanings. So here's the real story. The statue was actually a gift from India. See, in Hindu philosophy, Shiva isn't just a destroyer. His cosmic dance represents the endless cycle of creation and destruction that powers the universe. And physicists saw that and thought, wow, that's a perfect metaphor for the subatomic world we study. Particles popping in and out of existence. It's about rhythm and energy, not evil. Then there's this second piece of evidence, the location itself. The claim is that CERN was deliberately built on an ancient holy site dedicated to Apollyon, a figure from the Bible called the Destroyer. But the reality? It's much more boring. The site was chosen because the ground there is super stable, which you kind of need for a giant sensitive machine. The whole Apollyon thing comes from the fact that a nearby town is called Saint-Genis-Puy. Puy, Apollyon, it's a stretch based on a sound alike. Okay, symbols are one thing. But what about video? This is where it gets really compelling for a lot of people. There are these viral videos that seem to show actual occult rituals happening at CERN. This is where the story gets really twisted.
So if you go down the rabbit hole online, you'll find this one video that everyone points to. It looks like some kind of bizarre, creepy ceremony, and it seems to confirm everyone's worst fears about what's going on there.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. It's not one video. That viral proof is actually a really clever mashup of two totally separate events. They have nothing to do with each other. Let's break this down, because the deception is kind of brilliant. The first video, the one with the weird goat man and dancers, that was a super strange avant-garde art performance for the opening of a train tunnel in Switzerland. It had nothing to do with CERN. The second video, the one that looks like a human sacrifice, that was a prank. It was filmed by scientists at CERN who were making fun of the conspiracy theories. Someone just edited them together to create the scary narrative that is completely false. So if they're not doing weird rituals, what are they doing down there 100 meters underground? Let's push all the fiction aside and look at the real science that gets so wildly misunderstood. This is the big one, right? The number one fear. The idea that by smashing these tiny particles together, they're going to accidentally create a microscopic black hole that grows and just eats the entire planet.
Well, the scientists have a really simple and powerful answer for this. Think of it this way. Mother Nature has been running a way bigger, more powerful version of this exact experiment for billions of years.
Cosmic rays from space are constantly hitting our atmosphere with way more energy than anything the LHC can produce. And guess what? The Earth is still here. If it could happen, it would have happened naturally by now.
And this is where the whole opening a portal myth comes from. It's all about the word dimension. When a physicist talks about extra dimensions, they're talking about tiny, curled-up mathematical possibilities predicted by string theory. They are not talking about opening a gateway to hell or some other world. It's just a case where the sci-fi meaning of a word has totally overtaken the real scientific one.
So what are they actually looking for? I mean, the real goals are just mind-blowing. They're trying to understand the Higgs boson, the particle that gives everything mass. They're hunting for dark matter, this mysterious stuff that makes up over a quarter of the universe. And they're trying to recreate the conditions of the universe just a split second after the Big Bang. These are some of the biggest questions we could possibly ask.
Okay, so if the video evidence is a fake and the science is misunderstood, why do these myths have such an incredible grip on our imagination? That brings us to our last section, the anatomy of the myth itself.
It's because CERN is basically the perfect storm for a myth to form. The science is incredibly hard to understand. The machine itself is literally invisible, buried deep underground. They use terms that sound biblical, like the God particle, and the sheer power involved taps into our ancient fears about, humans tampering with forces they don't understand. It creates a vacuum, and these simple, scary stories rush in to fill it.
And you can literally see the formula right here. You take a complex scientific idea like extra dimensions, and you twist it into a simple, frightening story about opening portals. You take research into antimatter, and it becomes building a secret weapon. It's a predictable pattern. Take something complicated and make it simple and scary.
And at the end of the day, these conspiracy theories aren't even really about CERN. They're about us. They're a way to take all our vague anxieties about how fast technology is moving, about the things we don't understand, and focus all of that fear onto one single, tangible target. It makes the world feel a little less chaotic. Which really leaves us with this final big question. As science keeps pushing into stranger and more complicated territory, these knowledge gaps are only going to get wider. And the challenge for all of us, really, is to figure out how we fill those gaps. Do we fill them with our oldest, darkest fears? Or do we fill them with a sense of wonder at what we might discover next?